Before I tell you this story, I need you to understand something. If you've ever trusted someone completely, only to have them destroy you, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. What I'm about to share is a warning about jealousy, about trust, about how the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. Turn on those notifications because this story will change how you see loyalty forever. You'll want to stay until the very end. Now let me tell you how my personal assistant destroyed my entire life. They say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes your enemy is disguised as your most loyal friend, watching, learning, waiting for the perfect moment to take everything you have. My name is Amara Okafor. 2 years ago, I was one of the most successful event planners in Lagos. I had a thriving business, a loving husband, a beautiful home in Ikoyi, and a reputation that took me 10 years to build. I had everything. Today, I'm starting over in a small apartment in Yaba. My marriage is destroyed, my business is gone, and my name in Lagos event circles is synonymous with scandal and betrayal. And it's all because of one person. One woman I trusted more than anyone else in my professional life. My personal assistant. My right hand. My friend. Ngozi. Let me take you back to the beginning, 3 years ago, when I made the decision that would eventually destroy everything I'd built. I started my event planning company, Amara Elite Events, when I was 25. I'd worked for other event planners for 5 years, learning the business, making connections, understanding what wealthy Lagos clients wanted. When I finally went out on my own, I had nothing but ambition and a small loan from my husband, Chitty. Those first years were brutal. I did everything myself, met with clients, designed events, coordinated vendors, set up venues, managed the actual events. I worked 18-hour days, 7 days a week. But slowly, the business grew. By the time I turned 30, 3 years ago, Amara Elite Events was handling some of the biggest weddings and corporate events in Lagos. I was making real money. Serious money. My calendar was booked 6 months in advance. I was featured in magazines, interviewed on podcasts, invited to speak at conferences. But I was drowning. I couldn't keep doing everything alone. I needed help. I needed someone I could trust to handle the details while I focused on growing the business. That's when I decided to hire a personal assistant. I posted the job opening and received over 200 applications. Most were underqualified or overqualified. Then I saw Ngozi's application. She was 26, a graduate of mass communication from University of Lagos, had worked briefly at a PR firm, but was looking for something more creative and dynamic. Her cover letter was impressive, articulate, enthusiastic, understanding of the event industry. I called her for an interview. Ngozi walked into my office in Lekki wearing a modest dress, minimal makeup, a warm smile. She was beautiful, but in an understated way, not trying to compete or show off. She spoke intelligently about events she'd attended, trends she'd noticed, ideas she had. Why do you want to work as a personal assistant? I asked. You could probably get a higher position at a PR firm with your qualifications. Because I want to learn from the best, she said, looking directly at me. I've followed your work, Mrs. Okafor. You're brilliant at what you do. I'd rather work closely with someone excellent and learn everything than have a fancy title at a mediocre company. I hired her on the spot. For the first year, Ngozi was perfect. Not just good, perfect. She was always early, never complained, learned quickly, anticipated my needs before I voiced them. She handled difficult clients with grace, coordinated with vendors efficiently, and remembered every tiny detail of every event. More than that, she seemed to genuinely care. When I was stressed, she'd bring me tea and remind me to breathe. When I had a particularly difficult client, she'd stay late to help me prepare. When I doubted myself, she'd remind me of my accomplishments. You're amazing, Ma, she'd say. Look at everything you've built. You're an inspiration. I started to trust her. Really trust her. I gave her access to my business email, my calendar, my vendor contacts, my client list. She became more than an assistant. She became my right hand, my confidant, my friend. My husband, Chitty, liked her too. He was a successful architect, busy with his own career, but he appreciated that I had someone reliable helping me manage the chaos of running a business. She's good for you, he'd say. You seem less stressed since you hired her. He was right. With Ngozi handling the details, I could focus on the creative and strategic aspects of the business. My company grew even faster. I hired 2 more event coordinators to handle the smaller events, while I focused on the high-profile ones. I opened a second office. I increased my rates. Everything was working. That was my first mistake, believing everything was working. The second year, subtle changes started happening. Changes so small I didn't notice them at first. Ngozi started dressing differently. More expensive clothes. Designer bags. High-end makeup. When I commented on it, She laughed. I'm learning from you, Ma. You always say presentation matters in this business. Plus, I got a small inheritance from my uncle who passed away. Decided to invest in myself. It made sense. I thought nothing of it. She also started asking more personal questions. About my marriage, my home, my lifestyle. How did you and Ogachitty meet? You guys are so perfect together. Your house in Ikoyi is stunning. How did you decorate it? That perfume you wear, what's it called? It smells amazing. Where do you buy your jewelry? You have such good taste. I was flattered. I thought she admired me, wanted to learn from me, aspired to have what I had someday. So I answered her questions, shared details, let her into my personal life. Another mistake. She started coming to my house more often. Just dropping off some documents, Ma. Just wanted to show you these vendor proposals in person. Just thought you might want company while Ogo is traveling. Chitty traveled frequently for work, sometimes for weeks at a time, and I was often alone in our big house, working late. Ngozi's company was nice. We'd talk, share meals, sometimes watch movies after work. She became like a younger sister to me. I introduced her to my friends, my family, my inner circle. Everyone liked her. She was charming, respectful, helpful. My mother even said, "That girl is a blessing. You're lucky to have her." I thought I was lucky. I thought I'd found that rare thing. A truly loyal, hardworking, trustworthy employee who cared about me and my success. I was so blind. The shift happened around 18 months ago. Small things I noticed but dismissed. Ngozi started wearing my perfume, the expensive French one I special ordered. When I asked about it, she smiled. You recommended it, remember? I saved up and bought a bottle. I hope you don't mind. I didn't mind. I was flattered. She started doing her hair like mine. The same braiding style, the same color highlights. When I commented, she laughed. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? I laughed too. She started talking to my clients in a way that felt familiar. Not inappropriate, exactly. Just closer than an assistant should be. Using my phrases, my style, my approach. That's Ngozi, one client told me. She's becoming just like you, Amara. You're training her well. I felt proud. I thought I was mentoring her, preparing her for her own success someday. I didn't realize she wasn't trying to become successful like me. She was trying to become me. The first real warning sign came during a major wedding I was planning. The daughter of a prominent Lagos businessman marrying the son of a senator. A 20 million naira event. The kind of wedding that could make or break a reputation. I'd been working on it for months, but 2 weeks before the event, Chitty's father fell seriously ill in Enugu. Chitty needed to travel immediately, and he wanted me to come with him. It was a family emergency. I couldn't say no. But I also couldn't abandon this wedding. It was too important, too high profile. I'll handle it, Ngozi said when I expressed my distress. You've already done all the planning. I know every detail. I'll execute it perfectly. You can trust me. I hesitated. It was the biggest event of the year. But Chitty needed me. His father was dying. Are you sure? I asked. Absolutely. This is what you've been training me for, isn't it? Go be with your family. I've got this. I went to Enugu. Chitty's father passed away 2 days before the wedding. I was devastated, for Chitty, for his family, caught up in grief and funeral arrangements. Ngozi called me the day after the wedding. It was perfect, Ma. Everyone loved it. The bride's family was so happy. They've already posted glowing reviews online. Don't worry about anything. I handled it. I was relieved and grateful. When I returned to Lagos a week later, the reviews were indeed glowing. Clients were calling to book events based on the success of that wedding. Ngozi had done an amazing job. But there was something in those reviews that bothered me. Several of them didn't mention me by name. They mentioned the amazing event planner or Amara Elite Events, but specifically praised Ngozi, who made everything perfect. One review said, "We almost thought Amara wouldn't deliver since she wasn't there, but Ngozi saved the day. She's the real star of that company." I told myself it was fine. Ngozi deserved credit for her work. I wasn't petty enough to be jealous of my own assistant getting praise. But the comments kept coming. On Instagram, people tagged Ngozi instead of me. New clients called asking specifically for Ngozi, the event planner. At networking events, people approached her first, thinking she was me. "People keep confusing us," she'd say with an embarrassed laugh. I always correct them and tell them you're the boss. But did she? I started to wonder. Then came the incident with Mrs. Adebayo, one of my oldest and most loyal clients. She called me directly, which was unusual. Normally, all client communication went through Ngozi. "Amara, I need to ask you something directly," she said, her voice tense. "Did you approve the changes Ngozi made to my daughter's wedding menu?" My stomach dropped. "What changes?" She called the caterer and changed several items without consulting me. When I called to complain, The caterer said Ngozi from Amara Elite Events gave us the authorization. I assumed you approved it. I hadn't approved anything. I hadn't even known about any changes. Let me look into this and call you back, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. I called Ngozi immediately. Did you change Mrs. Adebayo's wedding menu without authorization? There was a pause. Oh, Ma, I'm so sorry. The caterer called with an emergency. Some ingredients weren't available, and you were in a meeting. I made an executive decision based on what I thought Mrs. Adebayo would want. I was going to tell you after your meeting, but it slipped my mind. It sounded reasonable, but something felt off. Ngozi, you can't make major decisions without consulting me or the client. That's not your role. You're right, Ma. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. I was just trying to help. She sounded genuinely apologetic. I wanted to believe her. I called Mrs. Adebayo back, apologized profusely, reversed the changes, offered a discount. She accepted, but I could tell trust had been damaged. That should have been a red flag. A giant, waving red flag. But I rationalized it. Ngozi had made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. She'd been doing so much good work. One error wasn't worth overreacting about. That was my biggest mistake of all. Over the next few months, more strange things happened. Vendor contracts that I didn't remember negotiating. Client emails that I didn't remember sending. Social media posts on my business accounts that I didn't remember approving. When I questioned Ngozi, she always had reasonable explanations. You approved it when you were busy and probably forgot. I sent that on your behalf using the template you gave me. We discussed this last week, remember? I started doubting my own memory. I was busy, stressed, managing multiple major events. Maybe I was forgetting things. Maybe I was overworking myself. Chitty noticed my stress. You seem anxious lately. Is everything okay? I think I'm just overwhelmed, I said. Maybe I need a vacation. That's a good idea. Let's plan something. Ngozi can handle things for a week, right? She did great with that wedding when we were in Enugu. She had done great. Maybe too great. But I pushed the thought away. I was being paranoid. Then came the night that changed everything. Chitty had been working late a lot. A big architectural project with a tight deadline. I'd been busy too. We were like ships passing in the night, barely seeing each other. One evening, I came home early from an event that ended sooner than expected. It was around 9 p.m. Chitty's car was in the driveway, which surprised me. He'd said he'd be working until midnight. I walked into the house and heard voices in the living room. Laughing. Chitty and a woman. I walked in and froze. Chitty and Ngozi were sitting on my couch, wine glasses in hand, laughing at something on her phone. She was wearing a dress almost identical to one I owned. Her hair was styled exactly like mine had been the week before. She was wearing my perfume. I could smell it from across the room. They both looked up, startled. Amara, Chitty said, standing quickly. I didn't know you'd be home early. I can see that, I said, my voice cold. What's going on? Oh, Ngozi just stopped by to drop off some documents for you, Chitty said casually. She mentioned she hadn't eaten dinner, so I offered her some food, and we got talking. Nothing major. Ngozi stood, smiling apologetically. I'm so sorry, Ma. I didn't mean to intrude. I was just leaving. Yes, I said. You should leave. She gathered her things and left, but not before touching Chitty's arm and saying, thanks for the dinner. And the advice. You're really wise. After she left, I turned to Chitty. What was that about? What about? He looked genuinely confused. She came by with documents. I offered her food. We talked. That's it. You were drinking wine together. Laughing. She was dressed like me. Amara, you're being paranoid. We were just having a friendly conversation. She's your assistant. Of course I'm friendly to her. What advice were you giving her? He shrugged. She was asking about her career path. Whether she should stay in event planning or try something else. I told her she seemed good at what she does and should stick with it. It sounded innocent, but something in my gut screamed danger. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention, and what I found made my blood run cold. Ngozi was at my house more often than I'd realized. Just dropping off documents. Just wanted to show you these fabric samples. Just thought you might want company. But increasingly, when she came by, she'd end up talking to Chitty. Long conversations. Sometimes for hours while I was working in my office. I started checking my business accounts more carefully, and I found things that didn't add up. Invoices that were slightly different from what I remembered approving. Client deposits that were lower than they should be. Vendor payments that seemed inflated. When I confronted Ngozi, she had explanations. Always. Reasonable, plausible explanations that made me feel crazy for questioning her. But the numbers didn't lie. Over 6 months, nearly 2 million naira had gone missing from my business accounts. I hired a forensic accountant to review everything quietly. What he found destroyed me. Ngozi had been systematically stealing from my company for over a year. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. She'd created fake vendor accounts, inflated real vendor costs, and pocketed the difference, skimmed deposits from clients before they reached my business account. She'd been signing contracts in my name, making business decisions without my authorization, telling clients she was now co-owner of Amara Elite Events. She'd been building her own reputation using my business, my contacts, my work, preparing to eventually launch her own competing company with my clients, my vendors, my entire network. But worse than the business theft was what the investigator found on her phone records, which I subpoenaed as part of building a legal case against her. Hundreds of calls and messages between Ngozi and Chitty. Late-night conversations. Daily check-ins. Messages that were far too familiar, too intimate, for just an employee and her boss's husband. I confronted Chitty with the phone records. "It's not what you think," he said, but his face had gone pale. "We're just friends." She was having some personal problems, and she'd sometimes call for advice. Advice? At midnight. Multiple times a week? For months. "Amara, you're always busy." She was lonely. I was lonely. We talked. That's all. That's all. I showed him the messages. "She's calling you baby. She's sending you heart emojis. You're telling her about problems in our marriage, problems you never discussed with me." He had no good answer for that. But what broke me completely was the message I found dated 2 months prior. "Ngozi, I can be everything she is, but better. You know that, right?" "Chitty, I know. But it's complicated." "Ngozi, it doesn't have to be. Once the business is fully mine and she's out of the picture, we can be together. Publicly. No more hiding. Chitty, soon. I promise. Just a little longer." I confronted both of them together. In my living room. In my house. "How long?" I asked, my voice surprisingly calm despite the fact that my entire world was crumbling. "How long have you been planning to destroy me?" Ngozi didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. "You had everything handed to you, Amara. Rich husband, connections, opportunities. You don't know what it's like to have to fight for every single thing. I deserve what you had. I worked harder. I wanted it more. So you decided to steal it? My business, my husband, my life? I didn't steal anything. I earned it. Every client that loves me now, I earned their trust. Every vendor that works with me, I built that relationship. You were just the name on the door. I was the one actually doing the work." I turned to Chitty. "And you? What's your excuse?" He couldn't meet my eyes. "I never meant for this to happen. It just evolved. You were always working. She was always there. She listened to me, made me feel important. It wasn't planned. But you planned to leave me once she'd stolen enough of my business to support herself. You planned to let her destroy me so you could be with her without feeling guilty." He said nothing. His silence was answer enough. I threw them both out that night. Filed for divorce the next morning. Reported Ngozi to the police for embezzlement and fraud. But the damage was done. Word spread quickly in Lagos society. My marriage was over. My business partner, because that's essentially what she'd become in everyone's eyes, had betrayed me. Clients started questioning whether to trust me. Vendors wondered if they'd be paid. My reputation, carefully built over 10 years, crumbled in weeks. Ngozi was arrested but released on bail. She immediately started her own event planning company, using my contacts, my client list, my vendor relationships. And because she'd spent 3 years building relationships with them directly, many of them followed her. Within 6 months, I lost 60% of my clients. My business couldn't survive that. I had to close Amara Elite Events. Chitty and I are divorced now. He's not with Ngozi. Turns out once she had what she wanted from him, information about me, access to my home, the appearance of legitimacy, she dropped him too. He lost his marriage for nothing. I lost everything. My business, my marriage, my reputation, my home, my peace of mind. All because I trusted someone who envied everything I had. The legal case is still ongoing. The police say white-collar crime cases take years. Meanwhile, Ngozi is running a successful event planning business with my former clients, living her best life, having taken everything I built. People ask me how I didn't see it coming, how I let her get so close, how I could be so blind. The truth? Jealousy doesn't announce itself. It smiles at you. It compliments you. It appears loyal while secretly studying everything you have, learning how to take it. Ngozi spent 3 years watching me, learning my style, my methods, my contacts, my vulnerabilities. She befriended my husband while pretending to admire me. She stole my money while pretending to protect it. She destroyed my business while pretending to build it. She was patient, calculated, ruthless, and I handed her the tools to destroy me because I thought she was my friend. I'm 33 now, starting over in a small apartment in Yaba. I've started doing freelance event coordination, small events, low-key work under someone else's business. I'm rebuilding slowly, painfully, but I'm rebuilding smarter. No more personal assistants who get too close. No more trusting people with full access to my business and my life. No more confusing loyalty with competence or friendliness with genuine care. I learned the hard way that not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who works hard for you is loyal. Not everyone who admires you wants you to succeed. Some people admire you because they want what you have, and they'll destroy you to take it. If you're watching this as a business owner, as someone with employees, as someone who's successful and surrounded by people who seem loyal, please learn from my mistake. Protect your passwords. Limit access to your accounts. Verify everything. Trust, but verify constantly. Keep your business and personal life separate. Don't let employees become best friends who know all your vulnerabilities. Watch for red flags. Employees who dress like you, talk like you, seem to want to be you rather than be inspired by you. Don't mistake competence for loyalty. Someone can be excellent at their job while secretly planning to destroy you. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels off, investigate immediately. Don't rationalize it away. Don't give people the benefit of the doubt when your gut is screaming danger. I ignored every warning sign because I wanted to believe Ngozi cared about me. I wanted to believe I was a good mentor, a good boss, a good friend. But she never cared about me. She cared about what I had. And when the opportunity came to take it, she didn't hesitate. That's the difference between ambition and envy. Ambition wants to build something of their own. Envy wants to take what someone else built. Ngozi was never ambitious. She was envious. And envy will destroy everything in its path to get what it wants. I'm sharing this story not for sympathy, but as a warning. A cautionary tale about trust, about jealousy, about how quickly everything you've built can be taken by someone you never suspected. The personal assistant who envied my life didn't just want a life like mine. She wanted my life. Specifically, mine. And she almost got it. I'm still fighting to get pieces of it back. But even if I win the legal case, even if she goes to prison, even if I rebuild my business, I'll never get back what I really lost. My trust, my innocence, my belief that hard work and kindness and being a good person to people would protect me. She took that too. And that might be the thing I can never rebuild. If this story resonated with you, if you've experienced betrayal from someone you trusted, if you're a business owner who needs this warning, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell because I'll be sharing more real stories about real betrayals and real lessons learned the hard way. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had someone close to you betray your trust? How did you recover? What did you learn? I read every comment, and I know many of you have similar stories. Share this video with a business owner, an entrepreneur, someone who employs people, someone who trusts too easily. This could save them from the same fate that destroyed me. Thank you for listening without judgment. Thank you for letting me share this painful story in hopes that someone else might avoid the same devastating mistake. Remember, not everyone who claps when you win is happy you're winning. Some are studying your technique so they can beat you later. Guard your success. Protect your peace. And never, ever let anyone get close enough to destroy you from the inside. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay wise, and trust carefully. Because the person who destroys you is almost always someone you never saw coming.